Sportsdesk pick'em show, sectional preview, yada yada yada. Damn it, we're doing it. Don't forget you can interact with us during the show. If you're watching this on YouTube, during the show on Mid-America Broadcasting, by writing on our wall. You can also as well follow us on Twitter at MAB Sports, or you can make a post on JT's website as well at Region Sports Desk on Facebook. And the real season, JT, is finally here.
Yeah, Bob, most certainly is. It's going to be exciting. 9 weeks have already gone by, and it seems like yesterday we were talking about the preseason and who our preseason picks are to go all the way. And
some of them are looking okay.
Yeah.
Some not so much.
So maybe it might be a time to revise some of these selections.
All right, let's begin. Let's begin our. Do I refresh our picks or whatnot? Do you remember your picks?
I don't remember it. Well, I think
I do remember mine.
I think I remember.
All right, Class 1A. I had Sheridan and Linton Stockton as my representatives in 1A. I am going to stick with Linton Stockton from the south, but I am going to amend my 1A pick up north, and I am going to say this will finally be the year for Tim Roth and the Winamac Warriors.
Are you picking Winamac to win?
Yes, I am picking Winamac over Linton Stockton for the 1A championship.
I'm picking the exact. I mean, that's my exact same pick. I've seen some of Winamac's games. They're so outstanding up front in the trenches, both sides of the football. And Linton Stockton has really lived up to their billing. They played I know they beat North Central Farmersburg, who was one of the better 1A teams, and they also beat Sheridan a couple weeks ago too. So I think Linton and Winamac playing the state finals. I'm same exact pick. I'm picking Winamac to win as well.
All right, Class 2A before the season, I had Lafayette Central Catholic versus Ritter. Ritter winning the whole shebang. I will stand pat on my 2A pick.
Okay, I think I had Ritter and Tipton, and I actually think I picked Tipton to win the state 2A. But of course, that's before their star quarterback got hurt week 2. I'm going to change the pick. I'm going to say LCC and Mater Dei play for the 2A championship, and I'm going to say Mater Dei defeats LCC for the crown.
Would be the first title in 13 years for Mike Gable for Mater Dei. Class 3A before the season, I've said Mishawaka Marion versus Hamilton Heights. Well, the Marion Knights not having a great year at 4-5. Hamilton Heights kind of hanging in there at 7-2. I am going to amend both of my picks. I'm going to pick West Lafayette out of the north, and I am going to go with Brebeuf out of the south, and I am going to go with West Lafayette winning the whole shebang in 3A.
Well, that's an interesting pick. I'm going to agree with one of those. For one, I picked Hamilton Heights in the south, and I picked Indurain in the north, and I picked Indurain to go all the way and win state. I am sticking with the Indurain pick. I say they do make it all the way, and I'm going to say that Brebeuf also gets down there, and I'm going to say Indurain defeats Brebeuf for the 3A state championship.
All right, that will make all those parochial haters upset if that would be the case. 4A before the season, I said Lowell out of the north, and out of the south, I said Chittard. I'm going to stick with Chittard to come out of the south. I know they're very battle-tested, coming in at 6-3. Out of the north, I am going to amend my pick as much as I would like to see Keith Comer and his company make a run. I don't know if they're going to have their tough go. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But I am going to go with your favorite school. Once again, they're undefeated once again, entering the tournament. The Leo Lions.
Oh my God, you're joking, right?
Why not? Leo is 9-0. They've given up 5 points a game.
Who are they playing, Bob? Are they beating anybody?
Well, they have a 34-7 win over a winless Lures team.
Oh man, watch out.
Most points they've given up all year has been 12 against South Adams and Heritage. Heritage is actually a pretty good team there in 3A. So, ACAC football, I've seen it. It's pretty good football. And don't forget, this is a team, they have experience getting to the semi-state. Don't forget. Maybe it was 2 out of the last 3 years they've been among the Final Four teams in their class.
All right, I'm gonna pretend I just didn't hear that, but
I know you've been high on Dwanger.
yeah, you know what? At the start of the season, I think I picked Roncalli to defeat Bishop Dwenger for the championship. I am going to revise that pick, and I am going to go with Chittard out of the south. And in the north, I am going to stick with the Bishop Dwenger pick.
A team that lost to Fort Wade this year, 45-6.
Yeah, but they've certainly played a much better schedule than Leo, and they're actually on the upswing. You know,
And Leo's beaten Dwenger the last 2 times,
well,
too.
Dwenger struggled the last couple of seasons, but I feel like they've really made a revival. They lost a shootout to Snyder, I think by 3 points. They're battle tested, and I like them to come out of the north. I don't really think that any of our area teams is quite at that level. I don't think Lowell can do it, and I don't think Wharton can.
5A. Before the season, I said Cathedral and Snyder. I thought about standing pat, but I'm going to make a slight audible here with the pick. I'm going to stick with Cathedral. I still like Cathedral, but once again, Tim Dawson and the Concord Minutemen will get to a state final, only to run into the Irish once again. It would be the 3rd time that Concord has played Cathedral in a state final, and I say they ought to go 0 for 3. I like Cathedral over Concord.
I just don't believe in Concord, given the fact, you know, they were handled by Jimtown, they lost to Plymouth. I still think, and I know Snyder's not quite as good as they were last year, but I still think they're a step ahead of Concord. I'm still going to stick with that pick. I know there's not a whole lot of strength in the north in 5A, but I still say I'm going to go with the traditional power of Snyder, and I'll still say with Cathedral.
All right, finally, Class 6A. Before the season, I had Carmel over Pike. It was a great game a couple weeks ago on ESPNU.
Yeah.
I am going to amend both of those picks. Out of the north, I'm going to pick Fishers, who's had a great year, won the Hoosier Crossroads Conference. Out of the south, I am going to go with Center Grove. And I am going to pick Center Grove over Fishers for the 5A championship.
That's an interesting pick. I mean, I can't fault you for taking Fishers. I mean, I think the winner of that sectional definitely.
That's a meat grinder.
Yeah, it's a tough section.
All 4 teams are above 500.
Hamilton Southeastern's had a good season.
Even Noblesville's above 500.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the season, I picked Carmel to beat Warren Central. I am sticking with the Carmel pick. I still think Carmel will come out of the north, but I think I'm going to amend my pick, and I'm going to say Ben Davis comes out of the south.
And they've been coming out strong too. I believe they just, I think, got a share of the Metropolitan Conference, and they had a great comeback last week against Carmel. I don't know if you heard anything.
Yeah, they're down 24. I think they're down 24 to nothing.
24-0. You scored 28 unanswered.
So yeah, I think it's one of those things where they're kind of the hot team. They're playing their best football at the right time. So I think they kind of catch fire in the postseason. But I think Carmel wins the rematch.
All right. Well, we have that takes us look to week 1 action. JT. Normally you have your cheat sheet with your big 3, but it's the second season. It's win or go home. Every game's a big game, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Shall we begin?
Cheat sheets here.
Class 1A. Want to begin in Class 1A, sir?
Yeah.
All right, sectional 41. I'm not used to saying sectional 41. You usually only have 40 sectionals. Welcome to 6th class football. Top half of the bracket, the 1-8 Trident Trojans are taking on the 6-3 West Central Trojans. West Central had a great start, JT, when you look at it. They've lost 3 of their last 4 games. As you look at them, in those 4 games, they've given up 51, 40, 28, and 50 points to Winnemac, Frontier, North Judson, and Pioneer, respectively. But Trident having a rough year. Trident, I think, plays a little better competition, but I think the Trojans find a way to right the ship here this week.
Yeah, I'm with you on this. I know West Central's not playing well, but Triton has just hasn't been very good at all. I think they won one.
They beat Caston week 1, and that was it.
They've been smoked in a lot of games. I do think West Central gets it done, although, I think they're a little bit shaky right now, and, I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe lose in the next round, but this round I still think it's a little bit of a mismatch, so I'll take West Central.
South Central at 5-4, heading to Cavalier Field to take on the 3-6 Culver Cavaliers. Of course, This is the site of arguably South Central's greatest football victory 3 years ago in the sectional championship game under then coach Jeff Karras. South Central's been kind of up and down, I think, all year.
Yeah, they have, but Culver did beat South Central early in the season. But I will say that I think South Central wakes up the echoes, and 5-game winning streak. They've been on fire in the Greater South Shore Conference. I think they're playing the best football out of any GSSC team right now, and I like them on the road. I think they're going to beat Culver, even though it's on the road. I think they avenged that early season loss.
32-21 was the score back in week 2. South Central's been playing a little better, but having the chance to broadcast the game at Culver a few years ago. Now, it's not a typical Culver team from their glory days from a few years ago, but still, it could be a tough place to play, and Northwest Indiana teams traditionally, more often than not, struggle there. I'm going to take the homestanding Cavaliers in this one.
Okay.
All right, moving to the bottom half of the bracket. The 4-5 LaVille Lancers taking on the 8-1 Greater South Shore Conference champion, Whiting Oilers. Does anybody know what the health situation of one AJ Velaz is?
Don't know for sure. Really haven't heard anything either way. Don't know if he's going to play this week. I think this is a big trap game for Whiting. And I know LaVille's 4-5, but their losses, they've lost to some really good teams in the Northern State Conference. And given that Whiting has kind of struggled with the second half of the season, they've been winning games, but they haven't been quite as impressive as they were early on. I'm going to pick LaVille on the road to upset the Whiting Oilers, knock them out first round of the tournament. I like the Lancers in a close one.
LaVille's losses this year: Jimtown, Glen, Bremen, New Prairie, and Culver. Last week, putting 36 on the board against Culver. They also have a 31-0 win over South Central that's, of course, been above 500. I don't know how this game's going to turn out. I just think Whiting's going to find a way to extend their season this week, playing at home, playing on the lakefront. Ethan Young stepped up huge last week, had a monster game against Lake Station. I think he ran for like 250 yards last week. I think they're going to ride him again with this great senior class. They're going to win on Friday night. I like the Oilers on the lakefront.
All right, sounds pretty good.
Last matchup in Sectional 41, the 2-7 Lake Station Edison Eagles taking on undefeated Winnemac. And Rich Lunsford and his Fighting Eagles might be the most improved team from the start of the season till now in Northwest Indiana. And the reward for that is taking on the Winnemac Warriors, our pick for the 1A championship.
Yeah, it's not a very good consolation prize, but no question about it. You got to give Lake Station credit. I know they haven't won a lot of games, but they've been very competitive, which is a sign that it's a program that's heading in the right direction. But this week, Winnemac's going to score early and often, and it's going to be a very lopsided score. And I like the Warriors to win this one big.
Just briefly look at some, I think you might have some folks in the hinterlands there in Sectional 42. The matchups in 42, battle of 5 and 4 teams. Carroll's at North White, 3 and 6 Seeger is at 7 and 2 Pioneer. South Newton having a rough year at 1 and 8, taking on 1 and 8 Frontier, and 4 and 5 Tri-Counties at 2 and 7 Caston. So those are the matchups in Sectional 42.
Oh wow, that's a rough section. Wait, Pioneer's not in that section?
Yes, they are in that section. They have the best record.
Oh yeah, the Pioneer's going to win that section easily.
And I think Mike Johnson is happy. He doesn't have to worry about Lafayette Central Catholic this year. All right, let's move up to Class 2A, Sectional 33. Top half, the wounded North Judson Blue Jays. It's been a tough go for Kirk Kennedy in his first year in Blue Jay land. They are 2 and 7, but they might have a chance to win a playoff game this week, heading to Morocco to take on the 1 and 8 North Newton Spartans.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's been a struggle, and North Judson has played a tough schedule. I think, even with their injuries, the fact that they've really been struggling, they've been giving up a lot of high point totals with their defense. I think they can go on the road and grind out a close, low-scoring game, like a 20-6 kind of victory. I like North Judson on the road. I think they're going to win. They're going to win at least one playoff game.
I think so. Again, Kirk Kennedy, for the most part, he's got a pretty good track record when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah, he does. So we'll see if he can get that magic going. And unfortunately for them, they just don't have a lot of bodies. But you just gotta hope to get the most out of the players that you have. So
You look at the way the ping pong balls came out here. Really, the 4 matchups here at Sectional 33, really intriguing matchups. Of course, obviously North Jets and North Newton, I think maybe evenly matched. This could be an interesting matchup. Yeah, to wrap up the bottom half of the bracket, 7-2 Red Slayer taking on 5-4 Bishop Knoll. Do the Warriors have anything for the Bomber Nation?
I don't think so.
I think it's gonna be a decent game, but I just think Red Slayer's too strong. I think.
Yeah, I think up front, Red Slayer's going to dominate in the trenches. They've played a great schedule. Even the games that they lost, they easily. I mean, they're 1-score games. 1-point loss to LCC and a 6-point loss to West Lafayette. They're battle tested, and I don't really think Bishop Knoll has much of a chance this week.
Moving to the bottom half of the bracket, and we have 7-2 Boone Grove taking on 5-4 Wheeler. Throw out the records. These two schools there's no love lost.
Well, there's no love lost, but I'll tell you what, Boone Grove has really turned the tide in this rivalry, winning the last 2 matchups, and they've had an outstanding season yet again. You just can't say enough about what Tony Tinkle's done with this program. Wheeler's been kind of up and down, very inconsistent. I'm gonna stick with Boone Grove. I think Boone Grove will win this week. I just don't have confidence that the right Wheeler team's gonna show up.
They have been playing better. Wheeler has been.
They've been playing better. I think they've been a little too inconsistent, and I think Boone Grove wins this week. I think they're on the fast track to making a sectional championship, which would be huge for their program.
And the last matchup in Sectional 33, the 4-5 Bowman Academy Eagles headed to Ray Madden Field in Hobart Township to take on the 5-4 River Forest Ingots, who came back to the earth a little bit last week after their big upset of Whiting in Week 8. Lost to South Central in the battle for the middle bucket. So, 2 teams looking to get a little momentum coming off losses last week.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I think River Forest has had an admirable season. I think they solidify at least a winning record because I think they do win this week. I like their chances against Bowman. Bowman's kind of, taken a step back this season. Not quite as explosive as they've been in the last couple of years. And I like the Ingots to take care of business here.
All right, that wraps up the local sectional. A couple of matchups to maybe look at downstate. A couple of them in sectional 35. Lafayette Central Catholic taking out a North Putnam team. Boy, how far they fallen. They were in the state finals a couple of years ago. They're now 1-8. And Tipton is hosting Cass, by the way, in the first round, too.
And that might actually be a pretty good game.
Mm-hmm.
The Tipton Cass game would be good, but LCC's going to have their way with North Putnam.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to Class 3A, sectional number 25. Used to be 17 again. 6-class football. You gotta love it.
It's hard to keep up with the sectional names. Sectional 9, sectional 10. Well, now it's all changed.
Yeah, just add 8 to it or whatnot. All right, top half of the sectional 25 bracket. The 2-7 Calumet Warriors will be heading to the Steel City. And he'll be taking on the Lou Wallace Hornets. Lou Wallace is at 2-4.
Well, Calumet's had some struggles. I know Lou Wallace isn't all that great right now either, but I like Calumet. I like Calumet to win maybe like a 14-6 kind of game. I like the Warriors.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to hit the look.
Ivan the Great's going to get it done, Bob.
It's been about a long time. I'm going to have to look up here and do a quick look here. I cannot remember the last time Calumet has. Actually, you know what? Last year, because they were 0-9 in the regular season and they won a playoff game last year, if you recall. They defeated Gavitt in the first round before losing to South Bend St. Joe. And the last time before that would have been in 2007. Their most recent playoff win before last year was a win over the Work Troopers in 2007. So, you know what? I'm going to show a little love for Ivan Zimmer's ball club. I like Calumet up front.
All right.
So
2 for the Warriors.
All right. The winner of that game will most likely have their hands full. The Andrean 59ers taking on the Knox Redskins at 5959 Broadway Friday night. I know you had a chance to see Andrean 2 in the last 3 weeks. Very, very impressive ball club, JT.
Yeah, they've been very, very good and 9-0, and I gotta say I was extremely impressed with their offense last week. You know, when the Sommer is on the money throwing the football, when he's on his game, you know, throwing the ball and running the ball, it's almost impossible to stop this team. And you know, they were just churning on all cylinders last week, and they're going to take on Knox this week, and I don't think it's going to be a very good day to be a Redskin fan.
We have a prediction on our eye of 62-0 Andrean. What did you shock?
Yeah. It's going to be whatever they want it to be, Bob.
Mm-hmm. As Knox against New Prairie only had 40 yards total in that game. Ooh, boy. Bottom half of the black bracket, matchup of 4 and 5 teams. Glenn taking on Mishawaka Marion. Glenn, of course, coached by first-year coach Dave Sharp, the son of longtime Jimtown coach Bill Sharp. Mishawaka Marion, they went to the semi-state 1 year ago. It's been a bit of a tougher road this year for Reggie Glod's ball club.
Certainly has, but I think their schedules definitely prepared them well for this game. I still like Mishawaka Marion to take care of Glenn by probably a couple of touchdowns.
Marion is the only team to stay within a touchdown at New Prairie all year. That should tell you something, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're a bad team. You know, I still think they're going to inevitably have a matchup with Andrean here in a couple of weeks.
All right, the last matchup in Class 3A Sectional 25, the Hammond High Wildcats. Hey, they're on a 2-game winning streak at 3-6, taking out 0-9 Roosevelt. And I guess the best news for the Wildcat faithful, Eric Schreiber Jr. is back running the show offensively for the Wildcats.
Wow, that should really
that's good news for them.
Yeah, it should put light a spark in their team, knowing that he's back playing. And I like the Wildcats to run all over Roosevelt.
Yes.
They're going to claw their way to a victory.
All right, a couple other key matchups to keep an eye on, and 3A Sectional 26 battle of 5 and 4 teams. Twin Lakes is at Culver Academy. Fairfield is 8-1, having a nice year, taking out 6-3 Waconaquan. Jimtown at 7-2 is taking out Tippy Valley. Fort Wayne Lures, how the mighty has fallen 0-9 this year. They should get their first win, I would think, against West Noble. Sectional 28, you want to talk about a stacked sectional. 7 of the 8 teams have at least 6 wins. You have 6-3 Mississauga at 8-1 Western, 6-3 Delta at 8-1 West Lafayette, 8-1 Yorktown at 7-2 Eastbrook, and then you got 6-3 Northwestern getting the draw on that one, taking out 1-8 Blackford. Down south, you got 8-1 Greencastle at 7-2 Tri-West, 6-3 Buffett, 7-2 North Montgomery, 7-2 Indian Creek at 9-0 Batesville. What a great year for the Bulldogs. 7-2 Lawrenceburg, taking out another 7-2 team in Hamilton Heights. And there you go. So there are a lot of interesting, good matchups, I think, in this first round in Class 3A.
Yeah, I think you're right, Bob. That sectional you mentioned with West Lafayette, Eastbrook, and all those teams with the winning records, that's going to be very intriguing. I mean, I would still say West Lafayette's the favorite there, but you know, if they don't show up one of these weeks, you know, they could lose any one of those teams. So.
All right, let's move on to Class 4A, Sectional 17, in what could be a historic game.
Historic?
It could be a historic game. The Griffith Panthers taking on the Clark Pioneers in what could be the final game played on grass for the foreseeable future at the Boneyard.
Really?
If Griffith wins, they'll be on the road regardless next week.
Oh.
And I do not think they can win against the winner of the next matchup we'll talk about. But we'll get to that shortly.
Well, Bob, I gotta say, you know, I know Clark's been playing a little bit better the last couple of weeks, but I still think Griffith pulls one. They dig deep. They dig deep.
They've been giving up a boatload of points.
I know they have, but
they gave up 38 to Bowman.
That's not good, but I
think... Don't you think?
That's not good, but I think...
That is the Mr. Obvious statement of the night. Wow.
Hey, look, they're not going to lose to Clark, okay? I can't.
Are
see
you
them.
sure? Just like I thought, somebody asked me during the Bears game when they scored to go up 41-38. It's like, no, hang on. It's like, are you sure? We all know what happened.
Hey, Griffith's going to get it done this week. I think it could. I mean, Clark might actually score 3 or 4 touchdowns possibly, but I don't think they're going to stop Griffith's wishbone offense. I still think that Griffith's going to be able to pretty much have the way running the football.
You know, on our shows all year, I have not picked my alma mater at all year. I picked against them every week.
Seriously?
I have picked against them every single time, except for the couple times we didn't have a show, but I have not picked for them all year. You remember, you gave me grief because I picked Highland to beat them, and they did. But you know what? I am going to pick the alma mater to win Friday night. I am going to pick Griffith is going to win a playoff game. I like them to win at the Bowl.
I think they're going to play an inspired game just because you said that.
No, they're not.
Because you're showing belief in their football team.
No, I just think
Patowski's got our back. We're going to win.
If they have to rely on me picking them for motivation, that I don't even want to go there. All right. Great matchup here. A rematch from a game played a couple weeks ago. East Chicago. This time the game will be played at Maurice Zlotnick Field in Hessville to take on the Morning Governors. It was a 19-6 Governors win back on September 27th. They had a game where the Governors were fired up coming off a loss to Munster, and their defense put on a clinic. They held Martavius Carter, I believe, to under 30 yards rushing in that game.
Yeah, it most certainly did. You know, it was really their defense that fueled the victory there, and I don't see anything changing here. I really don't think that East Chicago really struggled. You know, I think their quarterback play has to improve. If East Chicago is going to go anywhere in this tournament, from what I've seen, you know, the last couple of times they played Morton, their starting quarterback really struggled, and I think Morton's going to put a lot of pressure on him. I see Morton's defense having their way, and not only do I think Morton's going to win, I know they're going to win. In fact,
why do you know?
Why do I know?
Are you channeling your inner Karnak? Oh, he breaks out the cheese.
Smack the cheese on the table. Governors, they're the best until you prove they're not.
They've won
Chicago's got to. In order to be the man, you got to beat the man, but Morton is still the man, and they're still going to be the man this week.
Looking for their 5th consecutive sectional championship. And, of course, this is a big one at the onset. So, you like the Govs.
I'm taking the Govs.
I like the Govs, too. It's not Poto's Power Play of the week, but we'll get to that point a little bit later on here. All right, let's shift to the bottom part of the bracket in Class 4 Sectional 17, and a game that will be played at East Chicago. The 6-3 Lowell Red Devils taking on the Westside Cougars, officially a record of 5-4. That loss includes a forfeit loss to Chicago Lindblom in a game where 2 unlicensed officials worked, so they're 6-3 on the field. Kind of maybe the matchup that's generating the most buzz in Northwest Indiana this week.
Yeah, it's the most intriguing game. You've got a contrast of styles.
And all the stuff going on off the field, too.
Yeah, you know, team being moved to Chicago. Really, up until, I think, last Friday, we had no idea where this game was going to be played. But knowing that it's going to be East Chicago, it's going to be on turf, which obviously gives an advantage to West Side's receivers. You know, the type of offense that they run. They run a lot of spread. They have one of the best passing quarterbacks in the area. This is basically going to be a game of, you know, somebody's going to have to come up and get a stop. I mean, it's not neither team. I don't think neither team is going to consistently stop the other, but it might come down to a key turnover, a fumble, an interception. Some kind of play like that could change the game. Maybe an onside kick. Lowell tries an onside kick. I think when I look at, you know, 2 of the 3 aspects of the game, Lowell has an advantage. They have an advantage in special teams, and they have an advantage in defense. Westside does not kick extra points. Lowell has a little bit better kicking game, and they also have a very good return game. I think those 2 things will prevail. Lowell controls time of possession. Westside, I think, is going to be able to have a lot of success throwing the ball, but I think Lowell can get just enough stops to win this. I'm looking at like a 49-36 type of game.
You look at the games that Westside has lost. they have been unable to finish games when they counted it most. They were in the ball game against Hobart week 1, put up a very game effort beforehand. Their edge just overpowered them, and really, to be honest with you, they probably should have had the win overboard if it weren't for some issues that led to this game being moved from West Side to East Chicago. Keith Kilmer, since taking over for Kirk Kennedy, is 0-3.
Wow.
He's been 1 and down 3 years in a row, and I think that staff is well aware of it as well. Westside's going to, they're going to get third points. They're going to get some big plays. Lowell's going to try to find a way, I think, to shorten the ball game, control the time of possession, run George Fields and company a lot. Maybe take, I think one thing though, with this game being played on turf, I'm not sure Westside's played a lot of games on turf. I know they played against Hobart week 1 on turf, but they have not had a lot of games on turf, so that might give me a little bit of advantage. But at the end, I just think I have more faith in Lowell getting a couple key defensive stops than Westside finishing at the end of the game. It's not going to be my power play of the week, but I think Lowell squeaks one out at East Chicago Friday night. It's going to be a heck of a ball game. This is going to be, it might be one of those games where whoever has the ball last is going to win, and I just think George Fields, with a big game, he might get to the 2,000-yard mark on the season in 10 games, which is absolutely incredible. But I think it's going to be a shootout between Westside and Lowell. I see it like maybe a 47-40 type ball game.
Yeah, wouldn't be surprising. It wouldn't be surprising to me. So yeah, we both picked the Devils in this one. So.
All right, last matchup: the 4-5 Highland Trojans taking on the 2-7 Gladiators. And the Highland Trojans, with a chance, with a win, can get back to the 500 mark. It's been, which would be rarefied air for the Trojans and head coach Trent Grider. The last time, as I will bring up here shortly, as we look at the old browser, the last time the Highland Trojans won 5 games in a season. It's been a while. As we look it up here, you have to go probably back to the middle part of the last decade. In fact, nearly 10 years. 2004 was the last time when they were 6-6 and went to a sectional final. The last time they won as many as 5 games in a season. I think they are going to get win number 5 Friday night against the Gladiators.
Yeah, that's a surprise. That's a shocking stat. After you read that, but I'm with you on this. Highland is a couple of nice wins. That win over Griffith a couple weeks ago. Huge win for their program. Gavitt
put together a great effort last week too.
Yeah, Gavitt not quite on the same level, but Highland actually, they did give Hobart a fight. It was only, I think, a 6-point game up until the last couple of minutes in the fourth quarter. So you got to say Highland is improved. They made some strides, and I'm with you. I think they pick up their 5th win.
All right. Of course, don't forget this was a team that made a sectional final last year too, so they got a little bit of experience there. Let's move on to sectional 18. Over at the Brickyard, JT's favorite place. The 5-4 Hobart Brickies taking on 6-3 South Bend St. Joseph. Hobart finally breaking their 4-game losing streak last week, but really they're going to have their hands full, I think, Friday night against the South Bend St. Joe team. Very talented team. Yeah, they got blitzed by Penn, but who has Penn not blitzed? The thing that scares me if I'm a Hobart fan is this team put 40 points on a team that's probably going to win a 5A championship in Cathedral. That's the thing that really scares me. It stands out if I'm playing Ben Downey's ball club Friday night.
Yeah, and we know Ben Downey has a lot of championship experience. He's a very, he's earned his stripes as a head coach in the state tournament. And he's got an offense, they're more of a spread offensive attack. They have a good running back, a couple of big receivers.
Far cry from the St. Joe teams of the 80s and 90s, that's for sure.
Yeah,
they were a true I-option team.
And from what I've heard from other people, that they're not quite at the level that they were a couple of years ago. But it's still hard to pick against them this week. Hobart, really been struggling. They've lost 4 out of their last 5 games, and really, that game with Highland last week was very competitive, up until the last couple of minutes. That game was in doubt. So, I got to go with the team that's playing better football, the team that's, proven to have solid playoff experience. I think it's the Trojans. I think the Trojans get it done. I've watched a lot of Hobart Bricky.
You mean the Indians?
What? No, I've watched a lot of Hobart Bricky film, and from what I've seen from their film, I think St. Joe's going to pick up on some tendencies, and I think they're going to have some success at slowing down the run. If they can do that and force Hobart to be in third and long situations, it's going to be a long night for them.
I think if they can get Noah Smith and Drake Devereaux really going, I think Hobart's got a good shot. I think they will be competitive this game, but I just think the Indians have a little bit too much. And again, they got that very good pedigree. You know, they've been in the state finals 2 out of the last 3 years, playing up a level in Class 4A. I think the Indians come to Lake County and will leave, going back east side of Toll Road with a W. Hate to say that because it will be the end of my nephew's prep career at Hobart, but it's going to be a heck of a game though. But I think St. Joseph wins by about a touchdown, like a 28-21 type game.
I could go with that.
All right. Next matchup, I guess we're going to have to talk about it. 0-9 South in Washington, 1-8 Clay.
Oh boy, what an epic matchup that's going to be.
I have brought the quarter of destiny with me. It's a Wyoming quarter, by the way. Heads, Washington, tails, Clay. That was a flip. My goodness. It looks like it's a tails. We're going to go with, I'm going to at least go with Clay.
That's a head. That's a head.
No, that's tails. That was the heads. So it's tails. I'm going. JT will be enrolling to read coins. Coin reading 101
No, I
later
thought it was
on.
one of those state coins with the front of it.
Yeah, well, it is a state coin. It's a Wyoming coin, but the head because it has.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Learn your coins, Mister.
All right. You're taking Clay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, don't forget, South Bend, Washington made it last year after a 1-win regular season, but Mr. Morgan is no longer playing for Washington. He's at Riley now.
Well, from what I know, Washington's only win this year was over Clay.
Well, they're 0-9.
Yeah, the only win that Washington had was over Clay.
Oh.
So they won head-to-head.
Are you sure, or was that a forfeit?
No, it was a win. It was legit on the field.
South Bend, Clay, 7-0 over Washington.
No,
Clay is 1-8. Washington's 0-9.
I thought.
You're having a rough 2 minutes.
Oh
aren't
my
you,
gosh!
mister?
Oh my.
Oh.
All right, give me Clay because they won the head-to-head.
Okay.
I got mixed up. I thought it was Washington.
All right, let's move to the bottom half of sectional number 18, and I think this is going to be a very intriguing matchup. The New Prairie Cougars, who have been rolling 9-0, first ever undefeated season in Northwest Indiana. And for you folks that say you're not in the Power 10, in region, it's in Region Power 10. New Prairie's not in the region. Enough said. Rush Rankings Ball Club taking on 4-5 Kankakee Valley. I think, to be honest with you, I think Kankakee Valley matches up very well with New Prairie. Does that mean I'm going to pick Kankakee Valley? No. But I think this is going to be a lot closer game than people think. I think New Prairie is going to escape with a win at MC Miller Field Friday night. Maybe like a 10-point win.
Wow. I haven't seen KV in person this year. What I will say about them is I see, they have a few good strengths on offense, but the problem that they have is overall team speed. And I think they're going to really struggle running the football because if they are forced into passing situations, they're not a very good passing team when they have to get in those positions.
Pardon kid, though, he's pretty good at running back.
Yeah, he's powerful. He's good up the middle. But I think that New Prairie has a little bit more speed, and I think that KB is going to really struggle, trying to stop that, triple option attack. I like New Prairie to take care of business at home. I'm going to say like a 28-7 win for New Prairie. The Cougars beat the Cougars.
So you say the Cougars with a C over the Cougars with a K.
Yes.
That beautiful MC Miller Field. I'm going to say New Prairie 35-25.
Okay.
All right.
Interesting score.
Last matchup in Section 18. 5-4 South Bend Riley taking on 7-2 Plymouth at the Rock Pile.
You're not beating Plymouth at the Rock Pile.
Even though you got Dejan Morgan there for Riley. By the way, Riley put in a great effort last week against Penn, by the way, only losing 21-11.
Yeah, they did, and Plymouth's had kind of an up and down season, but they did beat Concord a couple weeks ago. I think Plymouth's playing a little bit better. I've seen Plymouth, in person a couple of times. Not this season, but in years past. So, they're another ground and pound team, and I think they're going to be able to grind their way out to a victory. And I think we're going to have a really intriguing game next week because I think New Prairie's going to end up playing Plymouth at Plymouth, and that would be a very interesting matchup.
I'm half tempted to go with the upset here at South Bend Riley, especially after Riley's performance. But
are you more than half tempted?
I am half tempted, but Plymouth is a team. They are a very tough team at home, and that is going to be a heck of a matchup there.
You ever been to the Rock Pile?
I have done a game at the Rock Pile.
Wow.
Yes.
When was this?
The 2000 regional championship game, when Plymouth played Hammond High for the regional.
Who won that game?
Plymouth, 21-12.
Wow.
Yeah, Hammond High's most recent championship. The other key matchups I'll go in Class 4A. Sectional 19, Leo's at Wawasee, Leo 9-0. Fort Wayne Dweger's taking on Northridge. I can't remember the last time that Northridge had a better record than Dweger at this stage of the season. Northridge is 7-2, Dweger is 6-3. Really, that's about it. Chittard is at Northview down south. Chittard 6-3, Northview 7-2. Evansville Wrights is taking out Owen Valley down at the Wrights Bowl, and Columbus East will probably score a boatload of points on the Madison Cubs. Let's move on to Class 5A. There's only 2 games this week in Class 5A. One of them is a local game. The LaPorte Slicers at 1-8 headed to rustic Steel Stadium to take on the red-hot Mishawaka Cavemen, who lost last week to Penn. So Mishawaka had a 6-game winning streak. They are the rated 4A runners-up, and they're going to be taking on a LaPorte team that has played better. The second half of the season, it came within a whisker of knocking off the Portage Indians last week.
Yeah, I got to give them credit. They're definitely playing a lot better. Played an inspired game against Michigan City, and last week they were just kind of in a shootout with Portage, and basically came down to Portage converting a 2-point conversion to win that game. But got to give the Slicers credit. Ever since they got their running back salary in the lineup, he wasn't playing in the early part of the season, but he really had a big impact. And if LaPorte was playing anybody else in this sectional, I would give them a good puncher's chance. But I don't see any way they beat Mishawaka this week. I still think Mishawaka is the class of this sectional. Munster has a nice record, but I think this sectional really goes to Mishawaka. And I got to say the Cavemen get it done against LaPorte.
I like Mishawaka to advance on Friday night. Winner of that game will host South Bend Adams next week. The only other game being played in Class 5A's down south, Cathedral at Decatur Central. Cathedral 4 and 5 should roll, I would hope. All right, we finally make it to the big boys. And 6A will be played.
High stakes.
This is semifinal week in Class 6A. So, of course, the bye week for 6A will happen the week prior to the state championship game. Let us begin in Sectional 2.
Ooh.
We're going to do Sectional 2.
How about this?
At the Field of Troy, the Valparaiso Vikings and the Chesterton Trojans in a battle of 3 and 6 teams. Chesterton, they began their second half swan dive. They were 3-1. They lost 5 in a row, but it all started in week 5. They had a touchdown lead against Valpo, and Valpo came back to win. Both teams have struggled, but really Chesterton the last 2 weeks is really struggling with hanging on to the ball. They turned it over 8 times last week in their 31-7 loss to Maryville. And the week before that, when they gave up 56 points to Crown Point, they gave it up 7 times. So 15 turnovers in the last 2 weeks for Mark Peterson's ball club, who also have been playing without Avery Beeks ever since the Week 7 loss to Lake Central.
Yeah, hard to explain, why so many turnovers. Maybe, some inexperience when you lose your starting tailback and you're handing it off to players who aren't used to getting that many handoffs. That could have something to do with it. You get behind in games, start throwing the football more.
Now, Colt Teal put the ball in the air nearly 30 times last week. He was picked off 4 times.
Yeah, that's a lot, especially for their offense, because they run a lot of that flex bone stuff out of the.
Now, they did get 4 turnovers against Maryville, which is, normally Maryville's pretty good taking care of the pigskin, but I don't care how good you are. You turn it over that many times, let alone 8 times, you're in a world of hurt.
You are, and you're right, and I got to go back to the first meeting that they had. Valpo was able to, come from behind fourth quarter and win that game by a touchdown, I think. And I got to say, Valpo does it again. I like their chances once again, even though it's at Chesterton. I think Valpo comes in there and gets it done. I don't think it's going to be like a dominating performance, but I think we might be looking at maybe another. I'd say the same score. I'll say 21-14 again.
You know what? It is the power play of the week. I like the Vikings to get to the sectional final, and I just think without Beaks, it's a little bit of a different dynamic out there. Nothing against young man Cole Teal, very solid quarterback. Gillespie tries, hard runners, Horvath in there. I tell you what, though, the younger Castafaros had a big game last week. He came into last week's game with only 3 catches on the season. He had 6 catches for about 100 yards last week. So I'll put together a very nice game. But I just think Valparaiso and who they've been banged up playing without David Hidegger too. But they put together a very solid effort, almost knocking off Lake Central last week. So I would put my faith in Dave Coyle's ball club. I like the Vikes to get to the sectional final. Which leads us to the other matchup in Sectional 2, in a game you can hear on MidAmericaBroadcasting.com Friday night. I want to say it's a 6 o'clock start. Definitely keep on but you, me, and Coach Gall. Wow, I can't remember the last time I worked a game together with you. Might have been the semi-state last year. But the Portage Indians, the Red Hot Tribe, winners of 5 straight games at 6-3. They have been on fire, and now they have the top-ranked Penn Kingsmen in a rematch from week 2 where Penn won 32-0 and held Portage under 100 yards. But there was one big X factor that Portage has this week that they did not have in that week 2 loss.
Yeah, their running back, Hashim Simpson, he came back in the Chesterton game and he scored 4 touchdowns in that game. He had a huge night, and he's been a great addition to this Portage offense, and really has made their offense, I think, more explosive and more balanced. This is going to be, this is a big event because obviously Portage has never defeated Penn. They've played several times, and they've come close a couple of times, but Penn has always hung on to win. Penn's undefeated; they're 9-0. Their defense has been outstanding, but I think this is going to be a really tough challenge for Penn. The main reason being because I don't think they've really faced many good passing teams this season.
Penn has given up in 9 games 4 touchdowns all year. That's it, 4.
Yeah, there's a few things I look at. Obviously, the schedule that Penn plays really isn't all that good. Their conference is way down this year.
Well, they do have some nice wins, though.
Mishawaka is the second best team in that sectional.
Look what they did to Snyder.
Yeah, but Snyder's also had their struggles in some games. They're not dominating Fort Wayne the way they were last season. I think
Still, 38-0.
That's a good win. That's really their only legit victory.
Really?
Mishawaka's nowhere near what they were last season. Not even.
What about South Bend St. Joe, a team that might do good things at 4? They beat them 58-7.
St. Joe's a hard team to read too because they've had some bad.
Riley's had a decent year. Don't forget with the transfer for the young man from Washington.
Yeah, he's helped. I'm surprised that game was as close as it was, but I think most of these teams in this conference are way down. I think Portage as a whole has played a much better schedule. Playing teams like Maryville and Crown Point, Lake Central, in addition to Penn and Mishawaka. I think Portage is going to be ready for this game. Their defense has been much improved. I think their passing game has been better. They're a completely different team than what they were in week 2. Penn's going to see a different Portage ball club. And I think that this is, if it's going to happen, if there's going to be an upset, it could be this game, mainly because Portage is at home. They're on fire. They have the momentum. Penn really hasn't had many close games. Last week, surprisingly, it was only 14-7 halfway through the fourth quarter.
So they've been in the ball game the last couple of weeks.
So I think the gap is closing, and I think they're vulnerable. I think Portage comes out. I think they win 24-21. I'm going to say they kick a a field goal with maybe 3 or 4 minutes to go to take the lead. I think they stun Penn at the warpath.
You're joking.
I'm not joking.
Really? I know it's the alma mater.
Well,
I know you love to drink the Kool-Aid.
there's no Kool-Aid. I guarantee you Penn will not make the state finals. I guarantee it.
Well, we're not talking about the state finals. We're talking about Friday night.
They're no better. Look, Maryville legitimately could beat Penn.
Yes,
okay?
they could.
It's
could.
not.
Crown Point could have a shot. Even Lake Central, the way they play defense. But I don't know if Simpson's going to be that much of a difference. Don't forget, this is a team, they struggle offensively when they played without him. I mean, they were held to 80-some-odd yards of total offense. Now, they stayed in the game for a half, but then they just got wore down in the second half. That defense is tough. Offensively, they're not great, but I know Portage has worked, but this is still the 800-pound gorilla when it comes to Northwest. Northwest Indiana teams always struggle with Penn more often than not. I think Portage can score, but I just see this being a 35-7 type game. I think Penn wins this one easy. I hate to say it, but
Really?
I think Penn wins this one easy.
I went into. Just remember something. Last season, Penn also had a good year, and they had the same quarterback, and they went into the sectional semifinal, and they lost at home to Fort Wayne Carroll.
Yes.
Of all teams, Fort Wayne Carroll.
Yeah. And by the way, that Carroll team.
How good was Fort Wayne Carroll? You saw them when they played Maryville.
Yeah. They
How
weren't bad.
good
They were one of those. It was a team they were happy to be here. By the way, Carroll's having a nice year. They're probably going to win their sectional again this year. By the way.
My point being, Penn, when they actually had adversity, they didn't handle it very well, and they haven't had much adversity all season long.
No. But
Portage plays in a better conference as a whole than what Penn does.
All the dual teams play in a better conference, but they still lose to Penn. Why is that?
Maryville's had a fair amount of success.
Okay, one win. Maybe 2 wins in the last 20 years. Valpo had the back-to-back wins, with that Sonny Chris Keys, but more often than not, Penn wins the Newland Conference every year by knocking them out in the playoffs. I would love to see it. I hope you're right. Don't get me wrong. I hope you're right. I just don't see it. I do not see it.
All right.
All right, but we'll see Friday night. MidAmericanBroadcasting.com, and boy, it could be an interesting broadcast. And
we'll see.
I tell you, and we'll have the coach Tim Galt with us too as well. So keep it locked in. Let's move on to Class 6A, Sectional 1, Maryville. Boy, you want to talk about a draw? They got a draw. They host 1-8 Lafayette Jeff on Friday night. And I will tell you this, Maryville did not play their best game last week offensively. DJ Wilkins with throwing 3 interceptions, who normally takes good care. I tell you this, Mr. Isabel probably had the quietest 160 yards I've seen in a long time, but he put together a couple of touchdowns. I think Maryville is going to be focused, determined. They will not be looking ahead. I think they're going to come out and make a statement on the Broncos Friday night.
Yeah, they should. They really should. Play at home. I know Lafayette Jeff plays a good schedule, but they've only won 1 game all season. And, yeah, this game, I think, could get ugly. And, Maryville's lucky. I mean, they got the good draw. They don't have to play 2 good teams to win a section. They're only going to have to play 1. So Maryville most definitely in the catbird seat right now.
Yes, which leads us to our final Northwest Indiana game of the night. The Crown Point Bulldogs. They've won 4 games in a row, taking on Lake Central, the Wounded Indians, but maybe the best defense in Northwest Indiana. Rematch from Week 4, where Crown Point was shut out at the Barrier Grounds, 23-0. I don't think it's going to be a shout-out again, but I think this is going to be a heck of a matchup in St. John Friday night.
This could be one of the best games of the week, and I know it was 23-0 the first time they played. Crown Point's a much improved team since then, and Lake Central, they've been getting by in a lot of these games, but their offense has really been struggling, and we know Crown Point has a solid defense. I think this is going to be a close game in the teens. I'm going to say Crown Point wins the rematch. I like Crown Point. I'm going to say like 14-13.
Tristan Peterson's put together a very nice second half of the season, hasn't he?
Yeah,
They've given him the rock, and he's delivered. Both teams playing great defense. Jake Jadis has been getting a little bit better. I still think he's not 100%. I still think Lake Central has some issues trying to figure out what they're doing offensively with the, Olin's back, but he wasn't playing quarterback, and they got,
Yeah.
a lot of things in here. I think Crown Point is going to find a way to get a couple of turnovers, short field, give the ball to Tristan Peterson. He's going to hard press, I think, to break 100 yards, but I think he's going to score a couple of touchdowns, which is going to be the difference. I like Crown Point 14. You said 14-13. I'm going to say 14-12. Crown Point at Lake Central, which would then set up a rematch of next week if we get there on Maryville, Crown Point at Bulldog Turf. Oh boy!
Yeah, that was a great game the first time they played. So
wow, quite of a feisty edition this week, wasn't it?
Hey, sometimes you gotta take the gloves off.
Yeah, where's Joe? We didn't eat him, huh?
I don't know. I wish he had my back right now, but I feel pretty lonely at this table right now.
Oh well. Anyway, Region Sports Desk, you can post there, and I know the Hobart peeps love to clash with you there. Also, you can follow us on Mid-America Broadcasting and all the like. So there you go. So, final thoughts. Let the real season begin, huh?
Yeah, this is what it's all about right here. You get to the playoffs. You're hoping to play your best football, going into the postseason, and it's one and done. We're going to be eliminating not quite half the teams in the state because of
5A. Yeah.
We're sure going to be eliminating a lot of teams, so going to be interesting to see how things play out Friday night.
All right, man, that'll do it. So catch you on YouTube, and again, hope you tune in on Friday night. So there you go.
Thanks a lot.
All right, we'll be back to wrap up MVP Weekly after this on MidAmericaBroadcasting.com.